Oh damn, the Bear to Truth is back. What inappropriate but sincere things are gonna get said today. Dear Harry, can you elaborate on the financials of your drumming life? Well, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. Question, how is it that you look so well off? Dude, could you discuss the economics of your seems the world is sincerely curious about the utterly taboo subject of how many cents and possibly dollars we professional musicians and drummers get paid to do what we do. My brain is telling me not to do this, but the Beard of Truth is saying, yes, do. Ladies and gentlemen, for better or probably for worse, here in painstaking detail are the financials of my life as a professional drummer. This is Dude Thoughts, the true financial life of a side musician, dude. But before I say anything of actual meaning, as always, dude's disclaimer. Firstly, I'm here to speak for my finances, just myself. See, I dare not jeopardize the trust of any past or future artist whose people send my people unmarked envelopes of secret numbers written on secret papers in exchange for my noisemaking. And going anywhere close to singling out the finances of any of them in particular, well, it stands to undermine that trust, thus putting me in a standing I couldn't stand. Understand? But luckily, now's a great time for me to address the question, since I've played with such a wide smattering of artists here lately that it'll be impossible for you to infer the specific finances of any of them, which I dig. And lastly, even speaking purely for myself, I want to say I do realize everyone I've ever met who knows what's up with money makes it clear that you don't talk about how much you make. Perhaps I should respect it. Wait, heck it. I'm sorry, Dave Ramsey and Benjamin Franklin and Mom, but I currently don't have the foresight to understand why it's so important to be secretive about how much money I make. And luckily for those of you dudes asking, I'd like now to turn that short-sightedness into an irreparable mistake by uploading it to the internet for your edification. It's not that I'm not scared, alright? But why? Why is this so frightening to talk about, even having guaranteed the anonymity of the folks who hire me? Like, am I afraid it'll turn out I make less than minimum wage? And do I feel insecure about what that says about my value as a human being? Or conversely, what if I make more than a school teacher without actually contributing in any way to the well-being or progress of humankind? Actually, maybe those aren't mutually exclusive now that I think about how little we choose to pay our teachers here. Damn you, Beard of Truth. But if I have one feeling that outweighs the fear, it's gratitude, that you reward me every time I swallow that fear and speak my truth on the YouTubes. So I guess we're doing this. Enough foreplay, let us finally begin the penny for penny breakdown of the last 5 years of my professional drumming life. And I know ordinarily penny is a colloquialism, but then again I said drumming, so I probably mean penny in the literal sense, but we'll just have to see in a minute here when I count all 6 of them. Oops. Okay dudes, start your spreadsheets. My first true full-time sideman gig paid $175 per show, 0 per rehearsal, and 0 per travel day. That was so much more money than I had ever heard of from playing local clubs in Boston that I was willing to quit my job repairing computers and straight up move into the cheapest Nashville basement I could find in July of 2013 to take the gig. Bonus points, of course, for the little bit of savings I was lucky to have from years of sacking groceries and waiting tables and saving tips. I even saved my uniform in case I gotta go back, which feels constantly possible. Then again, they fired me 3 times, so drumming is probably my only option at this point. Here's a tip I saved from my Johnny Rockets days. This is an actual tip I received. It says, here's a tip. You need to work on that smart-ass attitude. Oh yeah, lady? Well, that jerks. So accounting for the other tangential road gigs and church gigs and corporate gigs and recording sessions it led to, which paid anywhere from $50 to $150 a pop, I made 37 appearances that year, which grossed me an almighty then $5,470. And it's the richest I ever felt. And do keep in mind as you consider these numbers that I'm strictly talking figures I actually accepted, not the ones I'd call maybe not lowball, but you know, we can only pay you guys $25 each and we expect 2 rehearsals, but important people's assistants are going to be there and we promise a record deal will come of it. Not that your name's going to be on the deal, but you know, you'll be able to say that you knew a guy who had a record deal one time, which is going to sound great on your Facebook gig finder resume. Hashtag pro gear, pro attitude, pro hang. So onward I forayed into the new year, not sure where my next gigs would come from, but inspired by this very real taste I'd gotten that I could actually make a nice living from drum hooliganism. And here are the numbers. 2014, I played 104 shows with no major changes in the stature of the gig and recorded in 6 sessions, generating a total of $15,551 with a mean pay of $141 and a median of $150, which was also the mode by a landslide. Lowest payout was $30 in town, highest payout was $300 on the road with $30 per hour of rehearsal. Holy shnikes, they paid us for rehearsal, and I felt like a real boy Geppetto. Dude pedo. On top of all this, I moved into a house with 6 people already living in it for an even better deal than the old leaky basement. Not to mention how much more free catering I got to eat on account of gigging more. And by catering, I mean Doritos. Sometimes barbecue. Mainly Doritos. On to the next year. I got my first major label gig and started playing on records. Prepare to be crushed by these ballin' numbers. Never mind, I still made $150 a gig, but the catering was much nicer. Barbecue. So for 2015, that's 158 shows and 13 sessions, raking in a total of 18,070 doodlers. Mean 105, median 150, mode 150, low, tips only, high 300. 2016, fired from said major label gig, hired on to different major label gig, record deal folds, gig ends, hired on to different major label gig, record deal folds again. Cobble it all together for 138 shows and 14 sessions, 27,290 total dollars. Holy dudeness, I exceeded my grocery sacking record. Mean 180, median 150, mode 150, low 125, high 450. 2017, audition, no dice. Audition, no dice. Audition, got it. Writing break, gig ends. Audition, got it. That gig ends. Audition, no dice. Audition, got it. Total income, $5 after psychiatric bills. Hey dude, really though, I'm just kidding about the therapy expenses. I'm mainly just laid on the floor in the fetal position. It's free, you know? So that's 101 shows out plus 32 sessions, 32,115 total green papers of arbitrary value. Mean 241, median 350, mode 450, high 450. Up, hang on, let me click that. Boom, make it $32,115 and 3/4 of a penny. See, what I haven't brought up till now is that on top of all the drumming money, I command massive YouTube advertising dollars from videos like, dude, what if I don't want to play cajon? Where apparently cajones sell like hotcakes, because look at this. It's like Natty Ice ads on a video about sobriety. I don't know what the ad rates break down to, but in the interest of transparency, here you go. Looks like about $1,000 for a year of videos. I should also acknowledge the generous game-changing dough I received from my Patreon dudes over at Patreon, without whom, I kid you not, these videos would not be possible. Or at least by now, I probably would have said yes to some of these doofus head marketing dudes who keep offering me money to peddle their doofus head products instead of talking about the real stuff, like Tostitos. But you can come to your own conclusions on whether those things weigh into what we're actually talking about, since I use ads and Patreon dough exclusively for video-related expenses like lights and camera and action. All of which brings us to now, when you might be thinking, man, Harry dude finally broke the poverty line. He is richer than ever. But now that you've seen the hard numbers, let me tell you why I've felt less and less rich every year and what I think the true financials of the sideman life actually are. When I first moved to Nashville, I owned one set of drums and cymbals, a couple of t-shirts, a pair of jeans, a pair of shoes, a backpack, a laptop, a camera, and a mattress on the floor. And when I think back on it, it actually feels like the richest, purest life I ever lived. But every female in my life who saw the mattress on the floor insisted that the mattress on the floor is barbaric, is childish. Don't you know real grown-ups have beds for their mattresses? And by caving to these constant exchanges and buying a bed, for better or worse, I ended up learning a lot about the drums in hindsight. Because on the surface, maybe the transaction feels like I just gave up some money and got a bed. But buying a bed means I also gotta buy a box spring. Then I gotta spend my time assembling the bed. But the Allen wrench thingy is missing, so I gotta call the thingy and wait on hold so they can send me the other thingy. But the worst ripoff in the entire transaction is that I bought into other people's idea that having this material crap is going to help me live the life I want to live. And that, my dudes, is a cost that keeps on costing me. So maybe I have made more and more money every year for the last 5 years, but don't let that fool you into thinking I wasn't a more successful drummer 5 years ago than I am right now. In other words, maybe there's a more rational explanation for financial success on the drums than just the income column of this spreadsheet. Here's what I think it is. That's right, if I had to pick one reason I've experienced any success on the drums, it's luck. Mountains and mountains of disgustingly undeserved luck. But if I had to pick another reason, it would be luck. Holy hell, it's seriously like I won the drumming lottery, and please don't ever let me take an ounce of the credit that really belongs to the gods or whoever you worship. But if I had to pick the next reason down the list, it would be you, for watching my videos. No joke. But beyond all those reasons, number 4 might very well be that I don't drink coffee, I don't drink alcohol, and I don't do drugs. I never paid more than $500 rent to live in moldy basements, and if I could walk to where I was going, I'd walk. And if I got tired of walking, I'd run. I ate these 97-cent bags of frozen vegetables in town every day till finally I splurged and started adding crushed red pepper, which brought my per meal cost up to 99 cents. And when I burned out on frozen vegetables, I would just skip a meal until inevitably frozen vegetables sounded appetizing again. I chose not to have health insurance my first 4 years here. I'm not proud of that one. I try not to buy more guitars than I can afford, or more college education than I can afford. I don't replace this 5-year-old still functioning phone no matter how many cameras they stick in the new one. I don't buy shoes because these are only 7 years old and as a bonus can kill small to medium-sized house rodents. Speaking of which, I don't have kids. In fact, I have no family for hundreds of miles in any direction, so I'm basically a perma-adolescent with no responsibility. And of course I don't buy clothes because I wear the same thing every day. Do you feel where I'm going with all this, dude? In other words, to be a musician, drummer, it's like I try and take the vows of a monk. Well, the poverty vows anyway, maybe not the celibacy vows. That's right, ladies, but in keeping with this video, we're splitting the bill at Carl's Jr. What's that? My beard makes me look like Gooch what? Great, see that? I just saved even more money. The obvious point of all this is that, yeah, I do make less than minimum wage, but I'm also paid in these lifestyle dividends that afford me an existence which doesn't really revolve around dough anyway. Or maybe the real currency is the friends I make and the places I see and the unreal musical sounds I hear, both amazing and horrible. And damn, if I can use that momentum to resist even just a layer or two of the consumerism that surrounds me in everyday life, then maybe 150 from this gig and 75 plus tips from that gig makes me honestly feel rich and spoiled as hell. And the less obvious point is that the car valeting job I'm saved from by not chasing money means I have all day every day just to play and create and be among my fellow musicians, which of course then compounds on itself by cultivating even more opportunities to make a little more dough playing music, assuming I don't spend all that time incessantly saying dude into a camera instead. Wait, damn it. And listen, dude, of course, if any bit of my ramble sounds closed-minded or preachy or just ungrateful for how privileged I am to have the circumstances I have here, please do, just trash our conversation from your mind. Life is complicated, and I don't want to imply that I know the first thing about yours. But if you found some inspiration or parallels in mine, well then, good, dude. We did a thing. And either way, I just made 3/4 of a penny off your attention, so now my privilege is your fault. At any rate, there it is, dudes. The few cents and much nonsense of one dude's drumming career fully parsed. So here's my question to you. If you really needed to know how much money you get for becoming a professional musician, are you sure you really wanted to play music for a living anyway?
Damn, the beard of truth strikes again. I said the beard of truth struck you like a cowbell gets struck. Like you strike that subscribe button. I'm gonna go shave now, cause I can't handle the truth. And I look like an ass. Mainly it's the ass thing.